All right. We're back. Again. And we got some more horror to talk about. As a matter of fact, it's this right here. Satan Slaves Communion. Which is the sequel to the first film, of course, Satan Slaves, which
Yep,
we did
from
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yep.
Which is I'm gonna say right now, I like this one better.
I liked it better too.
It made the first one make a lot more sense.
Exactly. It explained a lot.
It
Mhm.
made me respect Joko Anwar as a director big time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this one was definitely better. It was way more violent and a lot bloodier,
Mm.
way
Mhm.
more intense, which I just love that part of it. I love it when movies do turn it up like that, and not to the point where it takes away from the story, where it's like overly violent for no reason or overly no, it
Mhm.
fit with the story perfect. I like how how the movie starts off and it's like kind of calm. Yeah, everything's just kind of going kind of nice, and then that crazy storm happens, and they're trapped in the apartment complex.
Mhm.
That's when shit just starts. It just
You
starts.
like movies, horror movies where they're trapped into one place.
Um,
That's why
I'm not
you
gonna.
like that's why you like the original April Fools. They're all secluded on the one island with the house.
Yeah, see with that with that one though, really quick though, James, because we did review
Oh,
that and
April
we
Fools.
reviewed
Okay.
and we oh yeah, April Fools. We reviewed that and we reviewed the remake. The remake was one of the worst remakes I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life. It
The remake was too much. It was in a city. It was just too much going on.
yeah, it was stupid. And then it wasn't pranks anymore. It was like they were really taking each other out,
Yeah.
and it just they should have
Yeah.
called that bullshit something else. But no, I do like it when it's like in a secluded area because it does add on to the fear. But
Mhm.
that's not like it doesn't have to be that. But for something like this, it just kind of fits because it showed you like from part one to part two with the youngest brother, when he gets taken or whatever.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
shows you from one to two that like you can't leave this presence just from
Mhm.
moving. It's still
Yeah.
attached or whatever, and
No,
it's
it's
even stronger.
because they have to gather.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, the building in itself has an amazing amount of meaning, which we'll touch upon later. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, especially with the setting, did this film remind you of any other horror films?
Um,
It did. I was thinking about that today. I was like, this reminds me of something, and I just couldn't. It wouldn't click.
I think the excuse me. I think the darkness of it, like when they're in the apartment, a
Mhm.
little bit. I know it's different because this is more because the one I'm about to mention is found footage, but more so like the visuals of the scenery, kind of
Mhm.
not exactly the same, but it's called a Ganja Asylum or something like that. I don't know
Okay.
how to say it's an Asian horror flick.
Mhm. Yeah, because as you know, I've watched a lot of movies for better or worse, but there were definitely, as I'm watching it, there were a lot of things that were going through my head on this one that I didn't have time to really, process watching the original remake,
Hmm.
which is not a remake, this is a sequel. But some movies that just happened to pop into my head were Raid, the original
Oh
Wreck,
shit!
Judge
Love.
Dredd, the urban version, Cube, the Danish film The Lift, but the one that I was hoping you guys would catch because I got the feels big time. And it was made after this, to my knowledge. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, was Evil
The
Dead Rise.
mm,
Just how
holy
it was used and
shit!
everything, it really reminded me of that. And I really I mean, it was enough that I wondered if
Mm.
Raimi or whoever saw this film and was like, ooh, because even though the original and the remake are supposed to be more on the phantasm level, this definitely gives a more Evil Dead quality.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are just some of the films that it made me think of, which I think made me even like it more because I had reference points for it.
Wow.
Okay.
That's interesting as hell right there. That's interesting as hell. Wow. Evil
Well,
Dead. Evil Dead Rise, you said, right?
Evil Dead Rise.
Okay.
Of course, it takes place in a apartment building. And,
Yep.
you know, that isn't necessarily the main connection, but an apartment building in which all those who are left alive are now the pawns of some evil. And it's very vague. I will also say it really caught my eye when the film opens in 1955, which is also
Mm-hmm.
important, but it brought it into a cosmic Lovecraftian horror realm. When it opens in 1955, you have a journalist being taken to a scene in which he doesn't know about. In 1955, there were major legislative elections that were supposed to even further the adoption of democracy um, in Indonesia as an independent country. Those went horribly wrong, and Sukarno ended up coming in as a dictator. Like a lot of dictators, his intentions were actually not extraordinarily bad. But by the end of his reign, about 3, 4 years up to 1966, um, it was really bad. And there was genocide, there was killing of basically the poor or those people that the country, especially the next dictator, Suharto, um, those people were exterminated.
Oh wow.
And so there's your background as far as 1955. 1955 is where, because after the Dutch colonization, they really do try to create something. This period under Sukarno is called the guided democracy period, as kind of an in joke because it was done all over the world, including by us, putting people in Nicaragua and stuff like that. But it, so there, you have 1955, you have that shit going on in Indonesia in reality, but the journalist who is treated very, very poorly and still thinks he might have some right is taken
Mhm.
to a planetarium by somebody he knows who is in the police department, and he is taken in and he sees all these dead bodies that have been exhumed, and they're all pointing in the direction of a picture of Rhiannonin. And to me, that brought it into the world of Lovecraft because they're all staring up, and Lovecraft's cosmic horror. So that really pulled me in too because it didn't completely go in that direction, but it right off the bat was an unexpected conclusion or continuation of the first one. So,
Okay.
Nice. Nice. Wow. This guy, man, he always
I'm,
enlightens us. And I'm I
I'm
was over
sorry, I
here.
feel bad.
No. I'm happy about it. I
Mm-hmm.
was just over here checking out the because you said Evil Dead Rise
Mhm,
and this movie here that we were just doing, or that we all just watched and were reviewing, I should say.
mhm,
So I went to ChatGPT and see if there was any connection to it, and it said there's not like a direct connection, but you know, I mean the similarities between both families dealing with demonic slash religious beings or forces, the apartment complex, like how it's dark, kind of that dark kind
Mm-hmm.
of horror and all this. So there is some connections like that, but then
mhm,
like what you add to it, I'm just like, holy shit, that makes so much sense.
mhm.
Evil Dead Rise, I gotta watch that again.
Oh, it's
Just like,
excellent. I'm not
Yeah.
lessening Evil Dead Rise.
oh no, I know,
I'm honestly saying that like I want to revisit Evil Dead Rise because I just have an aching feeling that the director or directors, I'm not sure because I think it was two on that one,
Mhm.
were influenced by this as far as Indonesian cinema. That's
Okay,
just really awesome to me. So it might not be the case. It might just be, you know, by chance, but it is also in a long list of films that take place in apartment buildings. Now, this apartment building, it's very important to understand that it is very much set up like a prison.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that way necessarily to try to embellish upon the situation to make sure it was worse. So under Suharto and also under Sukarno, his last couple of years, you had an amazing amount of people displaced into Jakarta and its surrounding areas. So the family that was living in a village, I mean, there's always talk about the necessity of moving somewhere. So these are literally tenant apartments that would pop up quickly as subsistence housing around Indonesia. But they're like in Brazil in the 80s and 90s and before, you had secret police taking out the poorest of the poor. So 1984, when it happens, is actually a pretty big year. You have the Petroleus killings. Now, the Petroleus killings, there was a reference in the film to the tattooed killer. Do you remember that
Mm-hmm.
on TV? So the Petrus killings, the government to this day roughly says 24 people. This is not eyewitness representation by the Indonesian people. We're talking potentially 10,000. And it was a systematic genocide of people that the regime thought were weak or unusable for society, making that building in itself an allegory for the outsider. Class plays a massive role in this. In the fact you have to think of the fact that how close India is to West Jakarta. They're very close, and both countries have a bleed over of a caste system, and the family moves in to Jakarta because they cannot afford anything anymore. But they are also, it seems like everybody who is in that apartment building is part of a smaller ethnic group that still holds on to a lot of the indigenous ways, but has also embraced the contemporary religion of Islam. And that also plays into last week you'd said about the bodies in the home. I think it's Trojanian is the sub religion that, and I might be wrong, but it is something to that effect, Trojanian, that has elements of Islam, but also has kept a lot of the superstitions of the indigenous people.
Oh,
I mean, so okay, so as far as the burial stuff, where is it here? I forget. So yes, the bodies are kept in the home, but this is for a more pragmatic reason, and it is not just the Trojanese. It is something that is throughout certain parts of the world. It costs anywhere in the world to die. It's expensive to be born, and it's expensive to die. Parts of Indonesia would actually try their very, very best to maintain a body as long as they could until they could bury it.
Jeez.
And the Trojanese religion, sub-religion, also believe that every so many years you have to exhume the bodies and you have to clean the bodies. And also the bodies can take part in something they enjoy. Really interesting images out there of very decayed corpses enjoying a cigarette. And that's part of the superstition. That all leads back to the concept of evil being able to take the soul if it's not taken care of. So that time between death and the ability to pay for interment is a very shaky time. And it's a time that evil can get a hold of you. And if you remember correctly in the film, it's even said very, very early about evil beginning with mankind. So
Mhm.
I'll shut up. I just deep
Oh,
dived. So,
No.
so it was a
good.
film that really excited me because it really, both the films put together are so much more than what you think.
And you know what's funny is I remember last episode we were all saying like I hope because we all enjoyed the last one where we were saying we hope 2 ties into it well to make this not only make this one
Mhm.
feel better, but just
Mhm.
connect the story better, make the story, make the story a whole lot better as a whole.
To
And
explain things, yeah.
it did
Mhm.
everything we asked for. It
Yeah,
really
it
did
did an
everything we asked for.
extraordinarily good job. And
Mhm.
when the journalist, this is a hilarious thing. I even got a chuckle at the beginning of the film. And it's kind of implied that the father is also that policeman from 1955.
Yeah,
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to
it
me,
don't make sense to me
except for the
either.
fact that he does sell his soul to the devil along with his wife. That might be it. But so
Oh, it really kind of is. That's
at
right.
the very end, when they are finally evacuated, the journalist explains everything. And at the beginning, he just flat out says, like, hey, why are you telling me? It is my job to report this. Like, no, nobody finds out anything. This
Mhm.
is nothing, but it's important. And he's like, whoa. Like, I don't care. If you have to create something, if you have to, just get the information out there. And that creates the magazine Maya that is in the first film and how they're connected to the first film because Maya is a magazine that verges between paranormal and tabloid. So, which is
Mhm.
funny also because at the time, media was controlled by the regimes over several decades. So, information in some of these lesser respected situations actually at times was correct because there was no other way to get it out. I mean, we've had it in the United States with like Mother Jones and stuff like that. Um, so he explains at the end what I started feeling in this movie, and it is the father does sell his soul to the devil, and the wife does also sell her soul so she can become a musician, Robert Johnson.
Mhm.
But the big thing is the father has sold out his community for the what he thinks is going to be the benefit of his family to be a mercenary for the regime. He is part of
Mm.
the secret police, and it flat out says he's killed thousands of
Thousand.
people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, this particular film just screams Indonesian politics.
It's kind of weird he brings a suitcase full of fingers home, though.
That was nuts.
Souvenirs. Souvenirs, and also a way to remember his crimes.
And his kids find it. They open that up. They're like, "What is
Mhm.
this? Are they real? They're real." I love how are they real? They're real. They just took off running and screaming and shit. I'm like, "Yep,
Mhm.
that's some
But
crazy
it's a
stuff."
very well paced movie too. I
Yeah, it
mean,
was.
yet again, it seems to go quickly, but it's also one, and I even gave I think the first one credit on this. I kept wanting to back up. Like
Mm.
there's this scene in which you have one of the sons of the main family and two of his friends, and that's how he ends up discovering these photographs and these images that seem so familiar to him.
That one was
Um,
Bindi, right?
yeah,
Yeah, but
it was
Bindi,
a. I
Bindi.
think Bondi was the female, the
No,
no,
eldest.
that was
that's
No,
Emma.
no.
Emmy.
Bondi was he was the middle son.
okay, so it was Bondi.
Remember, he was the
Yeah.
one from the first one that had the knife behind his back.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's Bundy. Yeah, yeah. But I think the girl's like Emmy,
Hmm.
or something like that.
Something.
Like
Hmm.
starts with E, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
You,
What were you saying with the him and the friends?
Oh, so it's also just fascinating to me. Um, it. So there's a lot of use of technology in this film, which is really cool, and yet again, is a nice little nod to The Ring and the use of
mhm.
media in horror film. So one of the first times we really notice media being used is not necessarily when the television is being watched and they're talking about the tattoo killer, which is just a cover for the government actually doing something.
Yeah.
Very nationalistic, propaganda-esque turn off of broadcasting. And then you have this radio that keeps reappearing in this film, and it speaks through the radio. There is no real connection to the past except through photography. And, okay, so I thought it did a little too much. But did anybody else get a little thrill when they used the sound from Texas Chainsaw Massacre? It was the exact same sound, and that was pretty damn cool.
I was gonna say I enjoyed it. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it. It just added to the scene. It just added to the scene. It added the
Yep.
intensity. Wasn't mad at it.
Because that's one of the greatest things about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is its opening in this continual sound of what might be a Polaroid, what might be a classic camera, but it
Mhm.
is definitely a camera. And it's repeated in such a way that it's frightening. And I mean, Juko Anwar tried his best to revisit that, and I think he did a pretty damn good job. I think he
All right.
used it too much, but the
Hey.
first time with the kids, I was like, dude, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then with the kids, you see them come over to something that I tried to research, but it was
Mhm.
just too much, is there is significance to all the dates that are on the pictures of the um, building that they're living in. And they also
That's on
talk
top
about,
of a cemetery, right?
well, no, it's connected somewhat to a cemetery, but the big thing, it goes back to that. That's where the cosmic Lovecraftian thing, in my opinion, comes in. It goes back to that planetarium.
Mhm.
The
Mm.
planetarium was on that ground.
Mm.
And as you get to the end of the film and you see what is not really explained, if it's a devil cult or whatever kind of cult, but even at the end, the cult and how it's shown, a lot of Lovecraftian elements. And I thought that was really cool because it moved it moved what would be somewhat cliched into a little bit newer direction. It's also very, because we talked about paranormal cinema.
Mhm.
And, I agree with you, James. I think a lot of it is sometimes overdone, and some of the scares can be genuinely, expected and cliched.
Mm.
But this is all an allegory for human suffering. The
Yeah.
parano- the paranormal in this is less paranormal and fantastique, and more about what the government is doing to a people.
Mhm.
So for me, that took the paranormal cliche and was like, boom, you hit it, you made it
Okay.
fresh. So
Wow. That's. How did you get that from this? Like
um,
the
I
government
googled
part.
some random things while I was watching, to be
Right.
honest.
Like, hey,
Right.
whatever
And
works.
while I'm babbling, another thing that I discovered, because I figured it had to have something to do with it. So, okay, so it takes place during rainy season,
Mhm.
but in 1984, even though there weren't any like massive issues, the country was still dealing with really crazy floods and
Mhm.
landslides that were exasperated by Krakatoa on Sumatra, um, erupting the year before. And
Oh shit.
Krakatoa was some big shit.
Which
Mhm.
I mean,
explains
yeah,
them
it
being trapped
totally
in the.
messed up weather in that area for several years.
Yep.
Holy shit.
And also at that time, I mean, it was almost a cliche in the 80s and the 90s, Indonesia and Bangladesh were always getting the shit kicked out of them by the weather. So, but no, that's another, it is very correct in that respect. So, I mean, he does a very, very good job on what probably is a very small budget, creating a period piece.
Definitely,
Nice.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I don't know if I would go back to these two films, but I feel for both of them. They're definitely worth a watch. If you're gonna watch one, you should definitely watch two to finish the story.
Oh,
And
I say you have to in order so you know what's going on, because the second one explains everything.
yeah, what'd you
So
guys
it
think
does
it's
a
gonna
about?
be
really
a
good
bundle.
job, which sequels very rarely do.
Yeah,
Exactly. So I
You
say you gotta
know,
watch these watch
back to
both.
back, pretty much.
Yeah.
What?
Mhm.
Well, or even a day or two apart, just because they're both about 2 hours, damn near.
And there is
Oh,
some cool kill scenes.
yes, which I was
Oh,
gonna get to
the
that.
gore is very selective, but very good in this
Mhm.
one.
Yes.
My favorite one is when the girl in the she goes in the garbage chute thing
Oh,
Yep.
just folds her in
down.
half. Oh yeah, yeah. I like the elevator scene. All the fucking girls get
Oh
splat.
man, okay,
That
talk
was
about. Okay, so
that
that
was
was the
awesome.
scene. Sorry, that was the scene in which I was 100% sold on this being class and political. So the scene starts with somebody drops some money, and of course, you're dealing with a lot of people that are barely making ends meet in
Yeah.
subsistence housing. And people kind of pick things up or whatever, but somebody drops it,
Mhm.
and then everybody gets into the elevator, and then the elevator gets stuck, and then a group of children see money. They go to it because they almost never see any money, and them being seduced by the grand dollar leads them to unknowingly but still rise above people who are on their social class, pushing them down because they will toss anybody aside to get ahead. It's that bad.
Mhm.
So by them trying to better themselves, there are a whole bunch of people in their standing that they're bringing down. And in
Mm.
the end, because of the way things were at that time, and you can put this allegory to any country that has massive, massive economic disparity. And then you have a child see it and go,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, I think this one also made a lot more sense. The kids were so important because they definitely were meant to be, you know, children are the next generation.
Mhm.
And the generation of elders and adults would remember a lot that was going on, but before 84, but still that was, still in the thick of such horrible things that you had a generation like the father. When it really comes down to it, it's like, instead of selling his soul to get riches, it probably came down to, I got to sell my soul to make sure my family survives,
Mhm.
because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise I'm just one of the many that can be discarded.
Well,
So,
I like how this one kind of explained that more too. How they were saying, I believe the father went first or whatever with the whole selling his soul, and
mhm,
then talked to his wife about it, or got his wife to do it because so like one, so they can have children, and two, so she could be famous,
mhm,
and him, so he could pretty much take care of his family. Like, they didn't really explain that too well in the first one. They kind of like
mhm,
briefly brushed on it, and then you're just like, okay, but you didn't tell me. You just told me about it without like explaining it, I guess.
mhm.
And
Well,
I like how they broke
oh,
it
as you were
down
saying,
more.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I like how they broke it down more in this one, so
Mhm,
it makes more sense. It makes you understand why. I'm not saying you would actually do it, but it makes you kind of understand more so why people are like why they did it. Like, okay,
mhm,
so number one, it's gonna help my family, and then you're
mhm,
just like, and you feel like you have no other escape or no other option.
mhm.
You get it. Not saying do that, but you do understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
it just
as I said before, lightly, I mean, it. I'm sure it was meant, and it is a really, really cool reference considering everything. But the fact that the mother, with that deal, goes on to be potentially Indonesia's most treasured vocalist, even though she dies in abstract, or not abstract, just, she dies in poverty because the record label screws her over. There is that, definite feel there of like Robert Johnson at the crossroads selling his soul to be the best blues artist ever. So that little reference, I mean, I don't know if Jocko actually meant it or not, but that was one I definitely picked up. It helped me as a Western viewer a little bit more.
I learned
Yeah,
that Crossroads thing from Supernatural, the TV show.
good show.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. That is fair.
Other than that, I never knew that story because I don't listen to I don't know anything about like jazz. But as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, I was like, that's cool.
There was a really cool Ralph Macchio movie called Crossroads, was made about that.
Oh wow.
Oh, is that the original or the remake?
I'm assuming this is whatever one you sent me, so I'm assuming the original.
Okay, it should be like 66.
66.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll put it by the title, so I'll know.
1966. Huh?
That'd be interesting. And let's see what's next.
It's around that.
I gotta add a couple more movies to this wheel. Don't worry about that tomorrow, though.
She's got cool boy.
Did that come out this year?
Indian?
Yeah, this came out this year. It's the one, I believe it's on Netflix.
I almost watched that today. I was gonna click it and watch it today.
I don't know anything about it. But
I chose Salem. I chose Salem's Lot instead.
Well,
I won't ask you what you think of it because that's for another program. But
no, he didn't. He didn't watch it.
Oh, okay.
He watched. What did you say? You watched Salem's Lot?
Salem's Lot.
Yeah, Salem's Lot. I'm curious how they do with Salem's Lot.
I liked it.
I gotta check it out. I still have to watch the original though, so I'm way fucking behind.
Oh, you never seen the original?
Thank God, another horror fan who has not fully seen the original Salem's Lot, because I've always felt bad about that. But
I see it a long time ago. I like Stephen King's.
I like Stephen King. I love Tobe Hooper. It's just
series.
The way I look at it, Trevor, when it comes to stuff like that, I wasn't introduced to it. I didn't get a chance to see it. If I see
a 3-hour TV movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
the mini series, whatever they call them.
I was
just like 3 parts, and I remember. I think it was on CBS back in the day. They used to play Stephen King movies once in a while because there was what was it? Rose Red or something like that was one of them.
Yep.
They did The Shining. Then I think they did Salem's Lot.
See, I didn't see that.
And that's how I got introduced to Stephen King movies, by the way.
Nice.
Because of CBS.
Nice.
So
I don't even know how I get it was either it or The Shining. I don't remember which
for
one.
me. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh no, you're good. And I was probably at my cousin Michael's house, like watching it because his mom loved horror, so like that would be the one parent that would rent horror for us. Because everybody else, you have your older sibling or older cousin, what do you know what I mean, rent it. But she loved horror, so she would rent it and watch it with us. And I remember watching the It miniseries over there and a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah, it was one of them too. I seen it. That's how I seen it for the first time too. CBS.
I think that's a lot of our generations and around's first real connection with Stephen King. And that's why, to this day, I'm not saying that the new one is not interesting. It's not good. It might even expands into the book. But Tim Curry as Pennywise is not just the best representation. He was many of ours first taste of anything King. So we're always going to think Tim Curry. So
you do have a point there with that being one of the first Stephen King movies most of us have watched that are in like our age range.
Because it was played at home. We could watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Then I remember the movie,
time which they reran everything because programming sucked.
Then I think the real movie of Stephen King I seen that wasn't like a TV series. It was actually, I think I rented it or not rented it. I don't know if I rented it or my uncle had it. It was Christine.
John Carpenter.
Love that movie. I was just about to ask you guys, what is your favorite Stephen King movie, adaptation to film? Mine is Christine. I love that fucking movie.
See, I really like it.
That's fair.
I also
Shining.
like I love Maximum Overdrive.
Fun movie.
I
haven't
watched
seen it in years.
Maximum Overdrive so many fucking times when I was younger. I love
Respect
that.
to
I
Emilio
love that Green
Estevez. He
Goblin truck.
deserves more.
That Green Goblin fucking Mack
Mhm.
truck was so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it was funny to me. Like it was a horror movie, but like when the kids were at the baseball park and the soda machine just started fucking shooting cans in their forehead.
It's sometimes actually categorized one of the first splatstick movies.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, that's why everybody hates it, is it's so tongue in cheek.
I like it.
See, and I think it's one of those movies as a kid, you're gonna like it, you'll enjoy it.
I love it.
Depending on how you are with your sense of humor and stuff with movies, you may still love it in your adulthood. So I hope I still really enjoy. I'm sure I would. I haven't seen it in years. But I'm sure I would.
And soundtrack, by the way, AC/DC all over the place. Love it.
Yep.
I got no say on that part. Be honest.
But anyway,
be honest.
What other kills you guys thought was good in the movie?
Besides the elevator one, the one where she falls in the thing, matter of fact, I thought that they had me fooled. I thought the little boy was gonna fall in there to be earlier in the movie when he's pushing the trash down. And he drops a stick in there. Because he like leans in more. I'm like, nope, don't do it, kid. And then the shit starts pulling him kind of, but he does end up getting out. Actually, kid ends up saving the day.
For me, the best kill did something that a lot of films don't do. So, okay, so it's foreshadowed that the one child is trying to get out, but if he falls in the water that is soaking the first floor, he will be electrocuted. So he tries, he goes back, and then he sees what is the image of, his father's, his mother in the dress that she wears, a Rionin or whatever the name is for her. And she disappears. He picks it up, throws it in the air, and it has a life of its own. And you're like, oh, it's just going to throw him in the water and he's going to get cooked. No, it throws him so far, he is impaled in the neck by a pitchfork.
That was awesome.
That surprised me because it was not what I expected.
I did too. I thought he was going to land in the water and get electrocuted too.
I don't know.
You go, damn. Yeah.
That's probably my number 2.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Because it's up there with the elevator, but all 3 of those, the ones that we mentioned, were awesome.
Yeah.
Damn, that was one you felt like you'd see in like a more of a slasher type of film, like a Friday the 13th or anything like that, or just But when you've seen it, oh my god, that was awesome! Holy shit! I gave this movie a 7, by the way. What do you gentlemen?
And also the fucking real quick, the father gets ripped in half by the fucking 2 giant ass horses.
No, he got ripped in the 4s.
Or in 4, I mean, my bad. Oh yeah, because there's horses each leg and arm.
Drawing and quarters.
When they really focused on the kills in this movie, that was
a real old time torture
thing. Oh yeah, and also it was something that was used rather heavily, even in Nazi Germany. So the draw and quarter thing, which looks cool in a movie, is actually a spectacle type of torture to keep people in line.
Yeah,
because you do that in the middle of a village, you may as well just hold the keys because you're crazy.
What did I give this? Give last week's movie?
6.
I'll give this one a 7.
7.
It was definitely better, and I loved how it hooked everything together.
Same. How about you, Trevor?
I'm going to up both of them Well, the
Okay.
first one, yet again, I think this is best consumed in one sitting, or at least one right after the other, is both an 8. You
Nice.
mentioned about whether you'd watch it again. Well, I might, but I discovered that Jungle Anwar's other films, and he's done many, are available on free streaming platforms all over the place. So I've got a list of those that I'm going to be watching.
You see, and
It
I
fucking
want to
gets
say,
you, man. I know.
what I want to say about that. What's awesome about that is I know Trevor's going to go down a deep Trevor dive for this. And like 2 months later, somehow something's gonna remind him about this director when we're reviewing something, and he's gonna give us a deep dive on this director. It's gonna be so damn awesome. You guys should check out blah 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 blah.
You know me way too well. I'm sorry.
And we're gonna check it out. And I'm gonna tell you guys this:
He's gonna have a list of movies.
anybody that's watching or listening, you guys should really check out when he tells you to check out a movie. Depending on like the levels, like if we're talking about some crazy shit and you're on that type of level, check it out. But if you're not on that level, he still has some movies. Just Trevor's recommendations. You guys need to listen to him because.
Well, to live up to your hype, may I recommend one?
Yes,
of course.
Okay.
100%.
So if you've seen these movies and the political angle is something that fascinates you and interests you with these movies, check out a film that came out about 82 called The Year of Living Dangerously. It starred Mel Gibson, and it is a film about the Sukarno regime and all the horrors under it. And yet again, it stars Mel Gibson, called The Year of Living Dangerously. If you would want a companion piece that makes all the allegories make sense.
Okay.
So.
Nice.
All right.
You Were Living
I never heard of it.
One of the best Mel Gibson movies nobody talks about. And it's a shame. Also, the first film that Helen Hunt did, who eventually went on to do immensely amazing films.
Mad About You.
Yep.
Male reporter in the film, and won the best supporting actor. Is the thing, it was actress, but she was playing a male. But I think she did that year, and it's just nice. Yet again, it is it's one of those early films that, you know, really shows where, you know, like George Miller, what he saw in Mel Gibson. There is a lot more there than just, you know, the guy with the funny laugh, you know, with Danny Glover, and the guy that just goes bizarrely gore over the top with Jesus Christ. That there was talent there. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm gonna call this one a little early though tonight, gentlemen.
Game night.
Yes, it's game night. Niners play at 8:15. I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. I'm gonna tell you everybody this. I told my cousin this. I told James this. I'm gonna tell the rest of you guys this that are watching and listening. If the Niners fuck up and lose tonight, I'm not moving my show around for them anymore. We're just going to go roll with it at 8 o'clock like we normally do. But if they win, I'll move it again. Football makes me emotional, people. Makes a lot of us fans. If you're a diehard fan, we get emotional around this time when our team wins and loses. But it's rough when they lose. It's
a whole bunch of rough guys playing with their ball. That's all I know about it. So.
He's right.
I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying that's the only thing that makes sense to me, and I'm not necessarily a fan.
Hey,
I'm not a fan actually, but I respect that other people are, because they get so into it and so passionate about it. It's nice to hear.
It gets rough. It's just with anything though. I guess if I compare it to a movie, it's like having your expectations up to go see this movie that you heard all this hype about. This, that, and the third. It's supposed to be the best movie, and not just like say more so from trusted sources than from, you know, Wikipedia. Sorry, Rotten Tomatoes and all that shit. I mean, like trusted.
I never go by those.
And then you go watch the movie, and you're just like, "What is this garbage?" That's how my Niners are playing for this past couple of weeks. You expect them to play so much better, and they're just They're playing like
Yeah.
Blood Lake right now, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Our defense, but our defense is crap.
I'm putting it on the whole team.
They are not. The offense is good.
Yeah,
Our
but
defense is
no,
not
no, no.
doing good.
But listen, here. I know it's not a sports show, guys, and we're gonna end it soon. But we were 1 for 4 in the red zone last week in the first half. That's horrible. That's horrible. 1 touchdown, making it down there 4 times in the 20-yard.
Yeah.
That's bad. We should be at least maybe 50%, if not more. I think the league is at around 50%. We're way under that. We gotta fix that.
And our stupid penalties too.
Yeah, we'll get there though, hopefully. But again, Niners, if you want me to move my show around, you better act right tonight. That's all
Yeah.
I'm gonna say. Well, that said, people, come check us out. Make sure you check out Ambassador Media. Awesome, amazing
Thank you as
content over
always.
there.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna keep throwing this out there in the air. He's eventually gonna start giving us deep dives on some amazing horror movies, some crazy ones, some regular ones, a lot of foreign ones because he loves the foreign films, and so do we. But you're gonna get an awesome lesson on it. You get to hear about the movie. You get to hear about some cool things about the culture without even having to watch the movie, or you could watch the movie still, but without having to do the research. You just watch the movie and then boom, Trevor have the research. I'm telling you,
It's fun for me.
see.
So this is how I watch a movie. It's how I listen to music a lot of times too.
So what is your
Yay,
before we wrap this
neurodivergence.
up? What is your process for like watching a horror film? As far as because you're saying like you do research on it.
Well, it depends. I mean, I always want to try to watch a movie at least once, for just an enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
way. But here's the thing, if I actually have purchased a film or something, it means that it interests me enough within my wheelhouses of interest that I want the extra stuff to deep dive. And that's just one of my major issues is I don't have like one or two genres or places. So yeah.
It's the cool thing about it though, I guess, is not having just one or two genres or places. Is it's like when we discuss movies, and we've discussed a lot of movies together between this and I'll just say Godzilla. We discussed all of them.
Sturdy and James, I think we may have done 20 shows together.
Probably close to it.
Already?
Because I was on 500.
Yeah. Oh shit!
Oh,
that was one of my first official shows with you guys.
That time flies.
Yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. And then you learn but the thing is like it's so cool because again, I learned so much from you and Mick about that whole Godzilla thing, and then just going through all these foreign films with you now, learning so much. I know damn well if you were on us when we did Popcorn and Pints, when we were doing this was actually during the Star Wars to Star Trek. It was a wild time.
I remember the guys doing that.
But we were doing Star Trek and Star Wars. If you were on that with us, it would have probably been more amazing wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, because we already had Mick that was like a professional at both subjects.
Which Mick got mad at himself for something that I did, which was hilarious. It was a thumbnail I made for the Star Wars and Star Trek movies. Where it was for the second movie. It was for the second episode or whatever. And the ships are different. I don't watch I don't know the
Aaron didn't know the Enterprise changed, and he never changed the picture.
I didn't change it, so Mick was so upset with himself. He went and changed it and fixed it. He's like, "Here, upload this one." I was like, he kept apologizing. Yo, it's all good, man. It's cool.
Because he didn't notice it before we went live.
Such a good guy, man. Go check out the scenes now, people. That's the kind of support you get.
I didn't notice it.
Well, before you guys leave, I do want to point out, and I want to thank you both, and especially you, Sturdy, giving me a place to come on a regular basis and talk about film with other film lovers and everything has been very important for a couple reasons. It's very important for my mental health because it gives me a consistency that I have to keep up with and helps me get comfortable with hopefully eventually doing something with this. So I just want you to know that your graciousness and ability, wanting to me to share my information, it means a lot because this is like me learning to eventually make something myself. So
Awesome.
this time that we spend, and now we've done 20 episodes, is extremely valuable to me. So I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Appreciate
Awesome.
that, man. And I mean, it's just we all deserve to have a voice for talking about something we love. So hey,
I was in the same boat. I would never be on camera. Aaron begged me. I
I
started off as audio.
so here's what happened. Here's what we did, right? So one day he was staying around the corner from where I live at. Because he was staying at his brother's, and the next day we were both going in for overtime. So he caught a ride with me, and I had this little record. I still have it, but I had this recorder thing, and I don't even know if I produced this episode or put it out or anything. But it was audio only, and on the way to work, we were just talking random horror and stuff like that, just to kind of get him a feel of podcasting and
I
stuff.
remember I mentioned about kicking Chucky down the fucking hallway.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did listen to my show, but he just
Yeah.
didn't, he just
Yeah.
wasn't on it at the time. And then after a while, I got him to come on, and we did it via Zoom,
Yep.
just like pre-recorded via Zoom. Watch the movie, then just talk about it, and I'd put it out audio and put it out on YouTube. I did that for a little bit, for a couple of months, and then COVID happened, and we just started just recording all the damn time. And then one day I was like, "Yo, James," and I was still using Zoom at the time. You can only go live at like one spot. At, like it was either Facebook, which I think I did Facebook, just because the following was
Yeah, it was
better there.
Facebook. Yeah, it was
Facebook
Facebook.
or YouTube.
It
So I
was
would just go
Facebook
live on
Live.
Facebook. And one day I was just like, "Yo, James," I didn't even give him any heads up. I was like, so we're gonna go live tonight for the show." He was like, "All right, I guess." And we just went live.
I was like, okay.
But I did it like that because after we talked about it, like after that episode, we talked about it. He told me, he was like, "Yo, if you didn't do it like that, I would have been hesitant for so fucking long about going
Yeah.
live." He
And
was
it
like, "If
was
you didn't
good. It
do it."
was good at the time you did that too, because like if you told me like a day before, there was a chance that I probably would have canceled because I would have got nervous. My anxiety would have kicked in.
Yep.
So right on the spot, it's like I had no choice. So it helped.
And he's
But then
told
I
me,
started doing it. So I'm used to it now.
and like even before that, just from conversations we've had at work, just from like stories he's told me, just from growing up. Hey, you dare me to do something, or just like that, you put me on the spot. As depending on what it is, of course, I have to do it. So I'm just like, all right, fuck it, we're going live.
Never done that.
You know what I mean?
Because he was like, I
And
want to try something out. We're going to try this live thing. I'm like, okay.
yeah, because I wasn't doing lives then. I mean, I would do lives like for like when I was doing unboxing videos and gaming. I think I was doing gaming, but podcasting not at the time. But now I'm just like, oh, this shit is fun. Especially when you get people in the comments interacting and all that, and just and
Well, one
again,
thing I want to point out for you guys, for Mick, for Erin and her partner, the video store clerks, I admire you guys greatly because you do something that is rather hard for me. It's always been my entire life, and that's consistency. And that is so awesome. And I don't know if audiences necessarily ever really think about that because the new media, especially with YouTube, is people are creating themselves.
yeah,
And this means it is their time. It is their time they have, and still consistently bringing product, or at least enough that, it is a continual thing. That is something I admire and I strive to sometime be able to do. So, just know that you guys, your hard work is seen. So,
I appreciate that. And I
no,
mean,
no,
honestly, like you said, Trevor, you've been here since episode 500. That's pretty damn consistent, if you ask me.
well, yeah, that's why I said that I
It's a-
thank you guys so much because
oh yeah,
consistency is good for me.
it is, and I think for something like this, it's easy because I love doing this shit. Like I really love doing this. It's fun. It reminds me of kind of your childhood in the sense of sitting around with friends and family, getting horror movies and watching them and talking about them. Not necessarily, of course, the whole podcast. There was no podcasting back then, but shit, I wish we did record our horror conversations because we recorded a lot of other stuff with the video cameras and shit. Shit, as a matter of fact, you want to hear something crazy, right? You know, everybody streams for the whole video game and shit. We used to record ourselves playing Nintendo 64 on a VHS and go back and watch that later. We were streaming before we even know what the hell we were doing.
Yep.
I'm just telling you guys, man. This is like if you really think about some of the shit we did as kids. Fuck. All we needed was a YouTube channel. we're either out of here or in prison. That's it's either one or the other. With the ones born in the 70s and I'll say from like maybe 60s and up to about 80, maybe early 90s. That's it. You're either gonna be up there or prison because somebody's gonna be doing something too damn crazy. You don't know any better yet. But yeah, seriously, with the consistency though, what I was getting at is it's like I love doing this, so it doesn't feel like I have to do it in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I have to get up and podcast. I have to watch this. The only time it feels like a chore is when the movie sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
Not even that for me.
Well, I mean, more so not like a chore, but when it's like it's just tough is when the movie's bad to the point to where it's like it's so bad that it's forgettable. It's so bad that the conversation isn't always as fun. I mean, we steer out of it now if we have to.
Spectacularly bad.
Yeah, like Blood Lake bad. But no, I won't even say Blood Lake bad.
Yeah.
I won't say Blood Lake bad because Blood Lake bad is a different level of bad, and you can spend the whole year talking shit about that movie. But it's memorable. So I have to give it credit. Well, first, I give it credit and respect for the fact that it was created. I have to do that. And then second, actually no. That's second. First is the Firebird in the movie. Second is that the movie was made. That you guys did it. You accomplished making the film. No matter how I feel about the film, you did it. So congratulations to you on that. And third is that yes, it's the worst film I've ever seen in my life, and I hate it. But you gave me that. You gave me that film. And I'm not even trying to be funny with that. You gave me that film, and the film is memorable. Because there's a lot of bad movies that, yes, you are worse, but that aren't that memorable. You just forget about them. Until you see the cover, like, oh, yeah, you might watch. Oh, yeah, I've seen this before. I don't need to watch it again. So, yeah, shout out to you, Blood Lake. That's the nicest thing I'm ever going to say about you.
And that's why you're on my wall behind me.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably end up on both of our
Get
tombstones.
ready for an amazing film called V.
I can't wait.
From one of the easily in the top all-time 5 top folk horror films ever made around the world.
Ooh, that's awesome. I can't wait now.
Trevor, really quick, did you ever see the movie Blue Sunshine? Came out in the 70s.
That is awesome. Jeff Lieberman's. It's really wacky.
It's I watched it. I seen the movie too. Yeah, because me and James reviewed it on HorrorWithSirSturdy, and then we ended up reviewing it again on not me and James, Sturd-O-Vision, just because I had to watch that movie again, and I'm glad I watched it after we did the whole Godzilla thing. I don't remember which what the heck do you call them? Kaiju they mentioned in the film, but there was one guy in the corner like flapping his arms and making noises, and he said he was one of the I forgot which one he
Rodan
said.
Rodan or something?
It may have been Rodan.
It was Rodan. I don't know how I remember that from the film, but yeah,
but
it was.
So the first time I seen the film, that just it didn't mean shit to me. The second time I seen that, because we had already did the Godzilla thing, I was laughing so fucking hard. I was like, what the fuck what the hell does Godzilla have to even do with this movie? Nothing.
Well, if I remember correctly, because I've seen Blue Sunshine, I think twice. And if I remember correctly, it's a really wild, drug-addled trip.
Yeah.
It's a real trippy film. I love the movie cover though. I love the movie cover. All right.
Yep, it's crazy.
It is, man. It really is. Chick is bald. This one right here. Oh my god. It just works. It just works, guys. Like I want this on a shirt. This one right here.
Go on Temu, you'll probably find it.
The blue and pink one. You're probably right.
The copyright Wild West.
Or on my shirt, looking over. That's when you wear this shirt right here when you're sitting next to someone that's always talking like that. Yo, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? That's what that look is. You just go stand next to them and they start talking crazy. You ain't gotta stay on. You just stand next to them and just don't know. But listen, people, we're gonna get out of here again. Check out Ambassador Media. Check out Popcorn and Pints. Check out the Z Network. Check out HorrorWithSirSturdy. We'll be back next Tuesday and next Thursday at 8:00 regular time. Go Niners. Have a great night. I'll see you in your nightmares. Peace.